Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now there's been a small delay on a few PC components I've ordered thanks to an ongoing storm across the UK, the aftermath of which has been devastating. Roads are shut, trains aren't running, and delivery drivers are held up. Actually, it's not really any different from any other day, but nonetheless some hardware I've been expecting is still stuck somewhere in a far away depot, awaiting the moment it's thrown onto the back of a van. Because of this, I've had a lot of time to play video games, and because most of my favourite titles came out between 2000 and 2010, I've had a lot of time to notice certain flaws and badly aged so-called features. It gave me an idea for a mini-series called Old Games versus New PC Hardware, maybe old games that will run on anything or something like that. Sort of like a port report detailing how older games run on modern systems, because they can certainly be troublesome. Fallout 3, GTA 4. As I write this script, I'm debating whether or not to include the word bad or terrible in the title, or for other games, good or great. These words won't always reflect my opinion, rather they're based on user scores at Metacritic. Today's game holds a special place in my heart for both the wrong and right reasons, and the general feeling is that this is known as a bad game. As a kid though, I just couldn't stop playing it. To me, its negative reviews seem unjust, yet at other times they seem oh so fitting. I loved it and I hated it. This is Driver 3 or DRIV3R. It's a hard game to find these days. Steam doesn't have it, GOG doesn't have it, and while it can be found on eBay or Amazon, I'm just not paying £11. Luckily, my local CEX had a copy going cheap, and after my taste in gaming was questioned by the gentleman behind the counter, I rushed home in anticipation of reliving another part of my childhood. Sometimes though, nostalgia hurts. My everyday gaming system is made up of a Ryzen 5 1600, 16 gigs of DDR4, and an AMD 5700 XT graphics card. I'm running the latest version of Windows 10, the latest version available at the time of this video, and this game, which released in 2004 and recommended Windows 2000 or XP, started up with no trouble. Honestly, it just launched straight away, it didn't even hesitate. At the main menu is where you'll encounter the first mini-game, and that involves trying to counter the rapid mouse acceleration so that you can select one of these options. Take a ride, undercover, driving games and options are all good choices, but my favourite one has to be quick game. Seriously though, let's take a look at the graphical options. By default, the game will start in 4:3 aspect ratio, as expected of a game that's this old, but it does support a variety of different resolution choices, up to and including 1920 by 1080 at 60Hz, or 1920 by 1200 at 29Hz. The graphical options aren't the most varied, but we can make a few changes here and there, including draw distance, particle effects, physics and anti-aliasing, to name a few. There aren't too many choices, but there are enough to make a noticeable difference to the visuals. Noticeable but not significant. The control options are what got me though. By default, it's just utter madness. The PS2 had the best version of the game in my opinion, and this is certainly a game designed to be played with a gamepad. On PC, W, A, S and D are used on foot as standard, but the vehicular controls throw all of that out of the window. And a mix of comma, hash, Z and X take care of your in-car needs. They can of course be remapped, and my wireless controller was even detected straight away, so things can be configured to your liking. It's just a very odd combination to go with straight out of the box, and I don't know who thought up this control scheme. Performance-wise, you shouldn't run into any issues with a modern system, and that may be obvious looking at the visuals, but this was actually considered a pretty good looking game back in the day by some. Even a GeForce 210 will be able to handle it, with 30 FPS anyway, sort of. This graphics card is terrible. Nothing can save us from the physics though, and some of the animations which really haven't aged well. Here is a small compilation of some of the good, the bad and the downright hilarious. So with everything taken into consideration, DRIV3R is actually a really fun older game. Each vehicle handles differently and feels unique, and the awkward gameplay just adds to the overall carnage, which I would definitely say is a positive point. The good news is that although it can be hard to find on PC, it will run on almost anything spec-wise these days. Despite its fairly negative reception and critical user scores, there is still a pretty active fan base. I mean, we can even mod this game, thanks to the DRIV3R HD Remastered files provided by bibidibabidibu at Driver Madness. This enhances the textures of the game and makes it look a lot better overall. You can also apply the ENB file if you want, but I prefer the texture changes on their own. The GeForce 210 had a bit of a meltdown at Full HD with these changes applied, so I had to run the game at 800 by 600 for 60 FPS, although 720p should still give you a solid 30. With higher end modern hardware, there will be no real performance impact as expected. The game will just take a couple of seconds longer to load. I had no idea this title was still relevant to anyone. It was just one of those games that when I was growing up, it was so bad that it was good, or so my friends said. I've always found it pretty fun, and if you have an old or low-end PC, it might be worth trying out just for the sake of it, because just experiencing this game can certainly be hilarious. I know this video has been a little bit different and we were focusing more on the game than the actual hardware here, but as I said before, I'm waiting on some components to arrive. I haven't been feeling great this week either, but I'm not going to bother you with my personal ailments. I just wanted to put a video out there because I haven't made one in a few days. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video nonetheless. If you did, leave a like on it down below. Leave a dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let me know if you've ever owned DRIV3, or maybe you even still play it today. With all that said, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.